Okay, so I'll get started while everyone is filling that out because I'm really excited to pass the mic over to Amy. She has prepared an amazing workshop for you today, which is a crash course on search engine optimization, SEO for beginners. So that's what we're here to learn about today. I have the pleasure of moderating and hosting this webinar series for SafetyWing. It's been so amazing to meet so many talented creators and business people throughout this webinar series. If it's your first time, they're all on YouTube so far. So we've been putting the recordings to date on YouTube. So definitely check that out. There's been some really talented people who have come on and shared their expertise with us. Today, of course, we are learning from Amy Rae, SEO copywriter and travel influencer, who's from Toronto, Canada, which I'm Canadian as well, Amy. I lived in Toronto for 5 years. I lived in, Toronto for 5 years, but now I'm on the West Coast near Vancouver.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
So fellow Canadian, and Amy has over 5 years of experience in SEO, digital marketing, successfully grown her Instagram and TikTok accounts to over 110,000 followers combined. And she uses SEO best practices on social media, as well as her travel blog, allowing her to work with international travel brands and travel the world as a digital nomad. She is now teaching others how to do the same so that they can leave behind their 9-to-5 and have the freedom to explore the world. So thank you so much, Amy. I know there's lots of people on the call who either want to make that transition or have made that transition and really kind of want to level up their business and their content so they can continue to have more freedom.
Definitely. And that was me as well.
Same.
For many years. So I'm glad to be where I am currently.
Same. And Amy's going to save some time at the end to do a bit of a Q&A. So I'll come back on at the end. I'll bring Amy all of your top questions that you've put in the Q&A box throughout the presentation. So please, if as she's going through something and you want to clarify something or you want to go deeper or you just had a question, put those in. We'll make time for them at the very end.
Yeah.
And if this is your first webinar with us, these webinars are put on by SafetyWing, and we have a vision of building a global social safety net for remote workers and nomads. And so as you continue to become nomadic, become a remote worker, whether it's your own business or for a company and your blog is a side hustle, either way, as you travel the world, we are creating a suite of products with you in mind and really have a mission of creating your new home country on the internet. And so we do this with a suite of products. We are most known for Nomad Insurance, which is affordable health and medical coverage, which you can utilize anytime you are working or traveling or living outside of your home country. So it works just like a subscription, no matter if you're going to 6 countries this month or 1 country this month, it is one fixed rate that renews every month. So it just makes traveling long-term a total breeze and protects you against any unexpected health issues that could come up, or of course, like travel delays or things that might happen related to your travels. So Nomad Insurance is just one of our products. There's a number of other ones you can learn about on SafetyWing.com. And then stick around to the end where Amy's going to share a little bit about how you can actually get involved in and kind of being ambassador for SafetyWing and adding potentially a revenue stream to your content, to your blog, to your social media. So on that note, Amy, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and pass it over to you.
That's mine.
That looks good. We have a few more people who else joined: Toronto, London, Ontario, London, UK. Okay, love that.
Amazing.
All right, Amy, you look good. I'll pass it over to you.
Okay, great. So to get started, this is just a little bit about what we're going to cover today. So we're going to go over what is SEO, just if you have no idea what it is really, how long it takes to see results, which might be a little bit surprising, an SEO dictionary of terms that you need to know just when you're starting out. One of them is DA, so I'm going to dive deeper into that one specifically. why you should be using SEO on social media in your blog, SEO best practices, how to set up your blog properly with SEO, what is keyword research, and growing your channels as well, social media, because I know that's something a lot of you are probably interested in, and ending it with free and general resources to help you get started. So just a little bit about me. Sam already gave me a little intro, but I'm 27 from Toronto, Canada, a travel blogger and travel influencer. And I also am a SEO copywriter, which allows me to work remotely and be a digital nomad. So I'm also a full-time adventurer. I've been to 38 countries, most of them by myself. Lately with my boyfriend a little bit, but I'm back to solo travel right now. So jumping right into my experience with SEO, I created a blog back in 2016, but at the time it was definitely more of a journal documenting my travels to send to friends and family. And then I got into an internship once I graduated university in Melbourne, Australia. So that's where I started to learn a little bit about SEO and the very basics. And I took that to other jobs afterwards, and I landed jobs with agencies around Australia and used that SEO knowledge in order to get those positions, as well as put that towards my social media and blog. So I only really started to take SEO semi-seriously with my blog in 2019, but once again, I wasn't very consistent and I didn't really know everything. So that was just the very beginning stages. And I would often let my blog sit for weeks at a time, and I would post on social media a few times a week, or honestly, just like whenever I had the time, but I didn't really make the time. So then everything kind of changed, obviously, when the pandemic happened in 2020. And like most people, I just kind of fell into TikTok. But I put all of the SEO energy, knowledge that I had into social media at that point. So I was able to get to 87K on TikTok and 25K on Instagram within a few months on TikTok, and actually within 3 months on Instagram after I started posting consistently and implementing SEO. So in 2022, everything really changed, and I was working with the biggest brands such as the Fairmont Hotels, Outside Co-Living, World Packers, and SafetyWing, just to name a few. And that was really exciting because I've been working for so long to get to that point. But yeah, so ever since I've been implementing SEO really seriously on my blog. It took me a while to come together with a clear strategy in mind, but I did that halfway through 2022, and I jumped from 1,000 monthly page views to over 5,000 monthly page views within a few months. So just to give you a little idea of what it was like back a few years ago, I definitely was not in the position I am today. In 2017, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I had just graduated with a degree in English and Communications from McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario. And I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to get paid to travel. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know anything about SEO at the time or keyword research. And flash forward a few years down the line, I finally kind of figured it out. So I just want to get your answers from the poll from earlier and see what your current knowledge of SEO and keyword research is right now. How many of you guys are beginners? How many of you guys are intermediate or know nothing? Okay, so some of you guys know nothing, some are beginner, most of you are beginners, and just a few are intermediate. So that's great. Definitely have so much to share for the majority, for all of you, but for those of you who are like just starting out and want a little bit of extra help, this is perfect. If you know nothing, I'm going to get back right into it in the next few slides. And I just have one other poll as well for you guys. I want to know, what platform do you use the most? Do you use a blog, Instagram, TikTok, or all of them? I want to like, and when I ask you which one do you use the most, like which one are you creating on the most, not which one you're scrolling on. Because personally, I was using TikTok the most for the longest time, and then now it's kind of become all three. But I'd love to know what you guys are mostly using. So just take a second to fill out the poll. Okay, so I see most of you guys are on Instagram and a blog as well, not so much on TikTok. I find that interesting just because I personally love TikTok. But anyway, we're gonna go on to the next slide. I know that these strategies will help you guys, whether you're using a blog, TikTok, Instagram, or all of them. So to get into the basics of SEO, it stands for search engine optimization, and it's essentially how Google and all social media platforms rank your content based on keywords. So by optimizing your different platforms for search, you're able to allow people to find you organically instead of relying on certain platforms. I mean, for social media, you are still relying a bit on the platform, but I'll get into that when I talk about blog. But for example, if you have a blog, SEO is the most important because you can get so much traffic from people just searching up something specifically that they're looking for that you seem to have the answer to. Instead of relying on posting a blog and waiting for people to swipe up on your story to read it on Instagram, for example, which is what I was doing for the longest time. I didn't really know how to start doing SEO on my own blog for like a little bit. And at that point in time, I was just sharing it on social media and not really thinking too much about it. So if that's you, don't worry, because we're going to get a lot deeper and give you so much more information. So essentially, you need to know from the very beginning that SEO is not a get rich quick scheme. It's not going to get you followers really quickly. It will take a lot of time to see results. Generally, it takes 3 to 6 months, but it can happen faster and it can also take a little bit longer. So you have to be patient with SEO. It's not something that you're going to do and the next week or the next month, you're going to see insane results on your blog. You have to be patient. You have to remember that if you're posting consistently, the results will come. It will just take some time. So to get into the terms that you need to know right off the bat, this SEO dictionary will definitely help. Feel free to screenshot it if you want to remember all this. So DA stands for domain authority. We'll get into that in the next few slides. Backlinks is when you're linking from one website to yours. Keywords are a specific set of words or a word that define what you're searching. So for example, the best beaches in Melbourne is a long tail keyword. If it just had beaches, that's one keyword. So long tail keywords are a set of different keywords strung together. And keyword research is researching keywords that you want to rank for on Google or social media. And page views are the number of times the pages on your blog have been viewed. And this can be seen when you sign up with Google Analytics and link your blog to Google Analytics. Then you should also know that search volume is the number of times a keyword is searched. On most platforms, it's going to show you a monthly search volume. Some will show you for the entire year, but generally it will show you by month. Bounce rate is the number of visitors that leave your website without going to another page. Organic traffic is the visits to a website found through search organically. Keyword stuffing is overusing important keywords to try to rank. So it's important that you don't do this when you're starting out with SEO and trying to grow your blog. It's really easy to think, okay, this is a good keyword. It has a high search volume and a low competition. I should input it 20 times in a 1,000-word blog. Don't do that because Google will see that you're doing that and actually rank your post much lower because they know you're trying to cheat the system. And I already mentioned long tail keywords. It's keywords that have generally 3+ words and are often easier to rank for just because they're more specific. So in my previous example of the best beaches in Melbourne, if you just had best beaches or beaches, obviously you're not going to have a very good chance of ranking for that because that's searched at such a high volume. Meanwhile, the best features of Melbourne are going to be an easier keyword to rank for just because it's a long tail keyword. And getting into DA, domain authority, is a score from 0 to 100. So it's essentially how Google views you as an authority. It's how likely you are to appear in search, and it's based on the strength of your website. So websites like YouTube have a domain authority of 100 because they are an authority figure online. Everyone knows YouTube, they know it's reliable, and they have good, reliable content. So they will always rank and they will always show up first on Google. Domain authority has to do with the quality and quantity of your work. So you want to be putting out good quality content, but you also need to be consistent. That way, Google will see you putting out reliable information time and time again, and your domain authority will go up. So if you're wondering at this point why you should be using SEO, there's a few different reasons. So you should use it because it will give you some stability. Once you monetize your blog, if you have a blog and you want to get into blogging, you'll have a much more stable income that can come through affiliate links and from AdSense, although it will still vary from month to month, but it will become more stable over time. You can work with more brands this way. Definitely use it when negotiating a brand deal because a blog is valuable. And you can get some passive income eventually. It will take, once again, a few months to get there, but you will get the passive income that you are hoping for that can allow you to travel and work remotely. And if you're using a blog, you don't need to rely on other platforms that you don't own, like Instagram, TikTok, any social media. And yeah, I already mentioned the AdSense and affiliate marketing. So we're going to get into the best practices for SEO. I'm just going to take a sip. So there's a few things to keep in mind when you are starting out with SEO. So the page speed is important because it is how quickly things load on your website. So if you're not loading very quickly, people are going to click off right away. And a way that you can check your page speed is by using GTmetrix or page speed insights. That will make it a lot easier to see how you're doing, and it will give you different options for how to correct the mistakes so you know where you can go and what you can do to make your website better. Then we have high traffic keywords. You want to be looking for keywords that have a high search volume. If you're looking at a keyword and it has a search volume of 20, you're probably not going to get many people clicking on your website. So you want to find keywords that have a high search volume every month, generally a few thousand if you can. And then low competition is really important as well. So if you're looking for a keyword with a high search volume, but it also has high competition, you're not going to have a very good chance of people seeing it through search, because that means that lots of people are writing about that topic. So the sweet spot is finding a high volume keyword with a low competition. And you will see these numbers when you're doing keyword research, and I will also show you guys in a few slides. So then some other things to keep in mind are the keyword placement. You're going to do, if you're using a blog, you need to keep this in mind for your title, meta description, your H2 headings, and your URL, which is also known as a slug. So the focus keyword is the main keyword you're using in a blog, and that blog post has to be in these other things as well, rather than just the body of your text. It should be generally at the start of your title if you can. The meta description is a summary of your blog, and it always includes the keyword. So it can be anywhere in that description, but the description is generally 2 to 3 sentences long. And having it in your headings as well is really important. It doesn't have to be word for word, but if it's a similar keyword, then that also helps. And another thing to keep in mind is putting out in-depth content. So the longer your blog post is, generally is the better, as long as you're putting out really good informative information. So don't write just for the sake of writing. Make sure you have good quality information, you're answering people's questions, and you're providing them with value. I would say to never write a blog under 1,000 words if you can, just because it's not going to really lead to anything in terms of organic search. You might have a few posts that are short that rank, but generally they have to be around 1,000 words or longer to rank well. Then we're going to get into the blog setup for anyone who's interested in setting up a blog or currently have a blog. The best platform for SEO blogging is WordPress, self-hosted. So I was really confused for the longest time what self-hosted meant, because I heard that from so many different bloggers, it has to be self-hosted. So essentially self-hosted means on WordPress, you can sign up for a free plan, and that would be, it could be spellboundtravels.wordpress.com. A self-hosted site is when you own the domain name. So there isn't the wordpress.com or wix.com or whatever that is. It's just your website.com. So mine is self-hosted on WordPress. If you have a blog currently on Squarespace, Wix, or another platform, I would definitely suggest moving to WordPress, just because it's the best platform for optimizing search. If you have a blog already on WordPress or you're setting one up, then add a plugin called Yoast. It will help you with on-page SEO. So that's making sure you have the right meta description slug, and all of your focus keyword is in the blog enough times. And it also shows you a scale of readability. So it will give you a happy face, like a green, orange, or yellow or red happy face, depending on how you've done on SEO and readability. Readability isn't as important as SEO, but it's still something to keep in mind. It's essentially how, if you have really long sentences, if you're using terms that are really complicated, it will lower your readability. But Yoast will tell you all of this. One thing to keep in mind is that it's just a guide, and it's not something you should rely on for SEO, because it's not going to, Yoast alone will not allow you to rank on Google. You have to make sure you're doing the keyword research on your own and making sure you have all of that stuff done ahead of time. Yoast is just to check at the end of the post. Okay, so getting into keyword research. Keyword research is all about targeting what you think people might be searching for on Google. So finding finding keywords will look different on every platform. So social media is different than finding keyword research on Google and for your blog. For Pinterest, it's really easy. So for example, you could just search in the search bar, things to do in Colombia, and you can see a list of suggested terms that come up, and that is great for doing keyword research on Pinterest. But if you look at Google for the same example, you wouldn't really want to write on this post, because you'll see that the competition is too high, and you would want to think of something a little bit more specific. Sorry, that's loading this page. Okay, so if you look down, or if you look at this image I've attached, you'll see when you scroll down on Google, you'll find a list of suggested terms, and it's more specific. It's unique things to do in Colombia, things to do in Colombia, Bogota, adventurous things to do in Colombia. These terms could be a better alternative for a long tail keyword to rank for. However, you need to know how to find search volume as well. Okay. So one thing I recommend doing is downloading Ubersuggest. Oh, 1 second. I would definitely recommend checking out Ubersuggest free SEO and keyword dictionary plugin. That is something you can download for free and put on your Google Chrome. And it will show you the search volume and the cost per click and the competition. So if you look over to the image that I've attached, you'll see that it will show the volume on the left column, the cost per click, and then that's the competition on the right side. So the terms here aren't the best, because you'll see that the search volume is around 260 at the highest. So when you're looking for different search terms, definitely look for something that's around 500 or higher. And for a competition score that's under 40, if you can find that. It might take a little bit of trial and error. I've definitely taken time before just Googling, writing out different keywords, what their competition score and search volume score is. And then I'll think of blogs to write based on that. And I would definitely recommend doing that. This could also apply for if you're thinking for social media as well. Okay, sorry, my presentation's a bit slow. Okay, so I know a lot of you are probably here to learn about how to grow on your social media channels. So a few years ago, I went from less than 5,000 followers on Instagram to having over 100,000 followers on all of my platforms combined within a year. And I know a year sounds like a long time, but I did not know what I was doing. I was definitely just, playing around, trying different options out and seeing what I could do to make it work. But if you have the right steps to implement, you can definitely do this in less time. So don't let that stop you from starting now. Okay, so when you're optimizing your social media platforms, you need to think about your profile to begin with. So what is your name and your bio? Do you have anything in your name that indicates what your niche is? So for example, mine says my name, Amy Rae, and then it says Canadian travel blogger. Then underneath I have a section that I say SEO copywriter and I think travel influencer or something like that. But that tells people what I'm doing and what I'm going to educate them about and teach them. And if you are from a specific location and what you're trying to promote is based on that location, definitely include where you're from. I had issues before when I didn't have Canadian in my profile. I'd have so many brands reach out to me wanting to work with me, and they would assume I'm American because we sound quite similar. People from Toronto just sound like we're from like New York or LA. So I'd have brands reach out to me and they would want to work with me. But they then would say that I had to be American, and it got really annoying having to deal with this. So it's best if you put where you're from in your bio right off the bat. Then it's also important to know that before you're posting on social media, you should be doing keyword research. So you can go onto Instagram and TikTok's explore page or the explore page and do some research, see what's trending, see what people are searching for, and take notes. It doesn't have to be complicated. I honestly just have all of my stuff on a note on my computer, and I do it that way. I write out stuff that I want to make videos about. I'll look at what topics people are searching for, what comes up, and you can also, especially on TikTok, filter based on the most popular videos for the last 6 months. And that's a great way to just see what people are looking for and what you can post about, what's related to your niche and what you want to start putting out there. And then we're going to get into the posting. So when you're actually posting, you want to integrate keywords into your caption as well as hashtags. So I always try to include the keyword that if I'm making a video about being a digital nomad, I would include different, obviously in the video I'd be talking about it. I would put text in my video as well, so that TikTok will pick it up in the algorithm, or Instagram if I'm making a reel. And those words will help people that are searching for digital nomad. It'll help show up on their page. And hashtags are great as well, but I wouldn't overuse it. I don't ever use more than maybe 5 or 6. And I always make sure my captions now, especially now that you have the length on TikTok, are longer and they include keywords that I'm trying to rank for essentially on social media. And initially you might be getting lower views on these videos just because you're reaching a very specific target. And that's okay. Over time, TikTok will push it out and you'll get more views on those videos. That happens all the time to me. I'll be like, how did this video flop so much? It had 200 views. And then a few days later, it's already at 10,000 views. So just be patient. People are going to be searching for those terms. And when it comes to your blog as well, if you're using social media in a blog, make sure you're linking back to your blog. So you can have your blog in your link tree or whatever you use on social media, but also make sure you're referring to it when you are making a video or a post. And that way people will go over to your blog. And when you backlink to your blog and people find you through social media, that also gives your blog more authority. It tells Google that you know what you're doing, you're an expert in that topic, and it will send more people looking for information on that topic to you. So that's just a good way to start using it on social media. And I definitely recommend that you do that as you continue to post. One thing that I didn't mention as well is that you need to be consistent. And I know that's something that can be really frustrating because people talk about it all the time. Be consistent. It's so easy, just post every day. Not everyone has time to post every day, and that can be really frustrating. It's something I often struggle with as well. I was posting every day, and I did see a lot of traction from posting that frequently, which was great. But you have to remember that you have to keep up with like what works with your schedule. If you have a full-time job, you're not going to be able to be putting out good, high quality content every single day. So if you are doing this on the side, start out by posting maybe 3 or 4 times a week, but make sure the content is good. Do your research, make sure you have the keywords implemented into your post, into the caption, into the hashtags, and then you should be off to a good start. Don't be too hard on yourself on posting all the time, because I know that's something I struggle with still sometimes to this day. But I found when I was posting all the time just for the sake of it, I wasn't putting out good quality content. I was just putting up a trending video just to put something up, and that's not going to get you to where you want to be down the line. Okay. So to give you guys a few different research tools to start with, this will really help. I wish I had this when I started my journey with SEO, because there's so many different platforms online and no one will really tell you which one's a good one to use. So as I mentioned earlier, download the Ubersuggest plugin. It's free and it's really helpful. It's probably one of the most helpful free ones that I've found. Then Ubersuggest also is really good for their keyword ideas. If you go onto their website and create an account, that's also free. The thing with that one is it has a limit, and same with the plugin, on how many different searches you can do before you have to pay. So there is a paywall, but it is free in the beginning, which is really great. Another free one is Moz Keyword Explorer. I used Moz in the beginning when I was just starting with SEO. And it's pretty good. I definitely would suggest the Ubersuggest ones first, but it's good to have a few different ones to double check what you're looking at and make sure that you have the right information, that you have enough keyword research to go off of. And lastly, I recently started using Rank IQ, and it's not free. It's $99 a month. I do have a link in my bio on Instagram for 50% off. So it's $49 a month, and it generates 16 reports for a specific keyword. And it's honestly the best tool I've ever used. As soon as I started using it, I was telling my boyfriend and his family about it. And I was like, wow, I can't believe I didn't start using this until now. It's just helped me so much rank for specific keywords and make sure I'm getting that high volume and low competition, which can be really hard to find on the free tools. You can definitely do it, but if you have the money to invest, I would 100% check out Rank IQ, just because it makes it so much easier. And it's something I was hesitant to do for a long time, because I'm the type of person who's like, no, I'll do everything for free. I'll figure it out on my own. And I'm really glad that I finally just took the time to pay and like invested in it and paid the money, because these reports tell you what you should be putting in your title, what you should be putting in your in the body of the text, everything. So it's really helpful, and regardless, you're going to have a lot of good tips coming from all of these different platforms. So start out with Uber Suggest if you're new and you don't want to spend any money, and then you can work your way up if you are ready to invest. And then lastly, I have some general resources to get through. So Moz.com, it's again one of the keyword platforms, but their website in general is really good if you just want advice on SEO and blogs. They have amazing blogs with so much information. Same goes with Ahrefs. It's a similar website that gives a lot of good information about SEO. Uber Suggest, of course, I love that one for the free plugin. And Uber Suggest, I forgot to mention this on the presentation, but they have a really good email marketing, like email chain that goes out, and they give really good advice about SEO, blogs, YouTube videos that they'll send to you. They're all free, and they give you really good advice if you're just beginning. And Google Analytics is something you should definitely set up right from the beginning. You have a blog. This way you'll get all of the information based on the behavior of your audience, like who's your audience, how long are they staying on each page, what's your overall page views for the entire blog, which pages are ranking on Google, which ones aren't. It will tell you everything. It does get a little bit complicated, but I would just look up a YouTube tutorial if you're not quite sure how to go through Google Analytics, and you'll have no problem just figuring out what information is important. Yoast is again another free plugin that you can put on WordPress. It's the best one for just double checking your SEO, making sure you have the keyword in enough times, and everything is optimized and ready to go as like a final check. Google Search Console is also good for just for checking everything and looking through analytics and how you're doing on search. And lastly, SEMrush. I think this is the first SEO tool that I actually used to find information. And it's a really good website with so much information for free, has so many blogs, and you can pretty much figure out how to do anything with SEO on that website. I think they also have like a keyword research tool as well, but you'll find hundreds of them. These are just the ones that I've personally used and had the most success with. Okay, so before ending this presentation, I also wanted to talk to you guys about how you can get involved with SafetyWing. So I've been an ambassador with SafetyWing, or for SafetyWing, for over 6 months now. And it's just a really good program if you want to get into affiliates and you want to earn a little bit of extra money while you are working on content. Excuse me. With the program, you will earn 10% of every insurance that's sold. And the good thing about that is with digital nomads, people are traveling all the time like me. So you will be getting a 10% commission every single month for people that are traveling nonstop, which is great. You can easily just promote this on TikTok if you make a few videos throughout the month and get some good extra money coming in. You can add the link to all of your social media, to your blog. It's a great way to start making money on your blog as well with affiliate links. If you're optimizing your posts and you have SafetyWing's ambassador program included, then you can start making money as soon as people start signing up with SafetyWing. And once again, it will take a few months to get some traction on your blog posts, but when you do start to rank, then it could be a very profitable way to make money from your blog. And lastly, you can also be a part of these content challenges that SafetyWing hosts to earn even more money and just grow your social media. So I definitely love SafetyWing. It's been awesome working with them, and I would check them out if you are just getting started and want to get into some affiliate programs. Okay, I think this is just my last slide. So I'm just about done with you guys now. I powered through that really quickly. But if you have any questions at all about SEO, I have lots of time now to just go through them with you, and would love to answer any burning questions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Amy. That was awesome. So much knowledge in that presentation. So thank you so much for the generosity. People in the chat are also saying it was great. So we do have some time for Q&A. I see some questions in the Q&A channel right now, which I'll go through. But if you have questions for Amy, please put them in there now. So one question that I thought was really good from Bree was, what about previously posted articles? Does it make sense to go back and do keyword research on old articles and update them? Or does it only really count when you first post and publish your blog?
That's a really good question, and something I only really properly learned recently. So if you have an old blog, it's good to update it, but you shouldn't update it within a year of posting, because that can hurt your performance on Google. So when you update it, you can change the title, but I also learned that it's best to update it only from the end of your text onward. If you start inputting new text into the middle, it can completely change how your post performs. So that's a little bit tricky. I would just definitely hold off on updating the post until it's been up for a year, or you could take it down and start with a new one, but you never know if that one will gain traction over the next few months. So I would say wait it out till it's been up for a year, then update the title. You can put like an updated version, like updated 2023 or the month, and then the year, and then that could let people know that it's fresh content as well as Google. But make sure you're adding the new content to the bottom of the blog, because otherwise it can throw off the SEO sometimes.
Okay, I definitely didn't know that. I have a blog myself, and sometimes I just make small changes and hit publish. So you're saying try not to do that within a year, but if you do, update the date to the new date, so it looks like it's a new post, and then ideally, if you're adding new content, add it towards the bottom of the blog post. Did I get that?
Yeah, exactly. That's
amazing. Okay, cool. I got a question for Shannon. Have you ever taken any SEO courses or any resources like that you'd recommend, other than, of course, this amazing workshop today?
No, I haven't actually. So I wish I had a specific course to recommend to you guys, because it would have helped me so much to have a course from the beginning. I really just learned everything as I went. So I started with the SEO agency in 2018 in Australia, and I learned everything from doing this like internship that turned into a job, and learned as I went. So I don't have one at the moment, but if you guys would be interested in having a little bit more of an in-depth course, I could put something together, and just send me a message if you would be interested in something like that, and I could look into doing that in the next few months if that's something you'd be interested in learning more about.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm sure you'll definitely get some people for that one. I know we had Nomadic Matt on as a webinar last week. He's one of our ambassadors as well, and he has a course for blogging. I'm sure SEO is part of it. So definitely check that out and hit up Amy if you'd like her to create a course for you. I think that'd be awesome. Okay, what about backlinking on Instagram? Is that a thing? How does that work? Any tips?
So I guess with Instagram, the only thing I'd recommend really doing and putting effort into is just having your blog in whichever link tree or like link in bio that you have, so that people can access it that way. And you can always put it on a story or reference it in a post or your reel to get people to head over to your bio and click on the link, or just swipe up on the link in a story. That's generally what I do, but I don't put too much effort into backlinking on social media. I do it kind of just when I have the time, because it's much more important to put that time into creating high quality blogs rather than taking up all this extra time on social media. But if you have the time, it's great because it does help your authority. I just wouldn't make that a top priority.
Okay, this question's kind of related from Shannon again, but are there tools or resources you recommend for SEO on social media?
Wait, you mean like tools that are on social media already?
Like, I guess tools to maybe help you improve your SEO for social media. Like if I wanted to have my Instagram reels more organically discoverable and searched and featured on the homepage, are there SEO best practices or tools we could utilize to do something like that?
Yeah, so I think because SEO is kind of new with social media, and I know that, Instagram and TikTok have kind of just hopped on that and been like, oh, now we're doing everything based on search. I don't think there's really a specific tool that caters to social media. You just have to do the research on your own right now. If I do find one, I will let you guys know. I'll post it on Instagram, but I haven't found anything that I would recommend at the moment. I think right now it's kind of, you have to do your own research, you have to do a little digging. And I think those platforms will come up more often in the future, but at this point in time, it's not something that I really see.
Okay. I have some questions about costs. So Brian wants to know, what are the costs of a self-hosted blog? Did you mention where you're hosting yours, or if you have any price comparisons for why you chose that over others that could be a competitor to it?
Sure. Yeah. So I do mine through WordPress, and I off the top of my head, I can't remember where I got the domain name from. I will let you guys know. But there's so many different websites that you can purchase a domain name on, and they're all pretty much around the same price, and it doesn't really make a huge difference. It's just based on if you want to pay like once up front for the year, or if you want to pay for every single month and stuff like that. I know that I think Bluehost is a good one that people use for finding a domain name. That's not one that I've personally used, but I really don't think the domain name is that important. It's just more important that you're hosted on WordPress. So I think the fee involved with that is around $100 for the year, to have maybe slightly more. It's around $100. So getting started isn't too much of a commitment. With the domain name as well, it's maybe going to put you back around $150 in total for the year.
Yeah, that's similar to what I've seen. I've purchased all my domain names on GoDaddy, and it's typically like nothing for the first year. If you commit to 2 years, it's like $10 to have that domain name for 2 years. And then it's like maybe $25 to keep it going after that per year. And then hosting fees that I've seen, like I host mine on Squarespace, and it's a couple $100s for the entire year. I've also used Wix in the past. So shop around, but Amy really recommends WordPress, it sounds like.
I will say that WordPress is the hardest one to use. It's not user-friendly at all.
I found that too.
You're in for like a little bit more work up front, but it's going to be worth it because it just has a lot more capabilities when it comes to SEO if you're trying to get the volume up on your page.
Are there benefits of self-hosting your blog on a place like WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, some of the platforms that we mentioned today, versus a platform like Medium, where it's more of a marketplace versus your own website? Can you do both?
Yeah. So, well, the benefit of having your own self-hosted website is the fact that you own that content, you own everything. But when you're putting it on something like Medium, you lose the rights to the content, or I mean, in some way, like, I mean, it still shows up as you as the author, but it's not the same as having your own platform. And I think that's really important, especially with social media. You never know what's going to happen if, for a few days, Instagram is down, or what happens to Instagram and suddenly it's gone. Then at least you have a blog that you can rely on, and you can still reach people that way, and you don't have to rely just on social media or other platforms that you don't own.
I know that one of the benefits of blogging on Medium is it has a built-in ads platform similar to YouTube. So the more people viewing your blogs on there, the more, passive income that you could make just by blogging. Would you recommend duplicating your blog, so having it on my own WordPress site, but then also blogging on Medium with the exact same content?
Definitely not. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. So Google is always looking for new content that hasn't been taken from other websites. So if you were to take the same blog that you already wrote and just copy paste it onto Medium, that will show up as a bad sign in Google's books, and they won't allow you to rank. So if you want to rank, you have to be putting out fresh content every single time, and you can't reuse old content, which can be annoying. Like, it is like time consuming. You just want to be able to reshare things and add it to other places. But when it comes to a blog, make sure you're always putting out new content.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned a few speed test tools to actually check the speed of your pages on your website. Were those tools you mentioned, I think GT metrics, page speed insight, someone wrote, Tanya, are those WordPress plugins, or is this an external website that you go to test this?
It's an external website, so you can just type it in. Page speed insights, I think, is run through Google, and GT metrics is just another one that people recommended using when checking out the site speed. It does get a little bit technical. When it comes to site speed, you'll see a whole bunch of terms about JavaScript and like contentful page image and stuff like that. So it will take a bit of time to get to know what these terms are. You'll have to do some research to figure out fixing your site speed, but there are ways to make sure that it's always quick and you have your speed up to date.
Amazing. What happens if you have to change the name of your website or decommission your old website, maybe change platforms? How will that impact your SEO rankings? Let's say you've been blogging for a year on WordPress and you want to do a rebrand or change platforms. Will that impact your SEO? Have you done that?
So I always had my blog on SEO, on WordPress. So I didn't have to move it over from a different platform. But when I worked at this SEO agency, we would always move people over to WordPress from Wix or Squarespace. And the thing is, you will have to start out with fresh content most of the time for it to not impact your SEO too much, or like to not have any impact really. But if you do move over old content, you would have to seriously update everything so that it is looking like it's new content going on there instead of just a copy paste. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you're moving from one platform to another.
So it will impact it. Yeah, I switched over from Wix to Squarespace, and I was really worried about that. And I was under the impression that as long as like the naming convention of the URL was the exact same, then it's helpful, but it's also is going to ding you because now you're just repurposing the exact same blog, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it has to, the whole idea is to always have a new piece of content, which is part of the struggle if you are moving from one platform to another, for sure.
Okay, time for a couple more questions. Thank you so much. We got lots of questions today. So another one from Shannon. What about when you're just starting out on your blog? Any tips or strategies to get backlinks to your blog, knowing that that really helps your domain authority and your status with Google?
Yeah, well, I guess for when you're just starting out, I would put the main focus on just posting as frequently as you can while still putting out really good content. So if that's once a week, do it just once a week. But personally, I'm trying to put out 2 blogs a week now that are optimized while I'm working and doing other stuff, which doesn't sound like much, but it does take a lot of time to do. That would be the number one tip. I don't put a lot of focus on backlinking. I do always link to old blogs for sure. So once you have a few blogs, you can link back to your old posts, and that way it keeps people on your page, just waiting from post to post. And you can also when you're linking to, for example, an article, like a news article, that's also good because that website will have a high domain authority. So look for site sources that are reliable. Don't go for like a Wikipedia or a random blog, and avoid linking back to other people's blogs, like someone that could be competition, for example, because then you might get someone going over to their page and then suddenly you've lost a reader.
Okay. ChatGPT. I know there's a lot of buzz around the internet about GPT, these AI tools, do you think they're going to impact search engines or change SEO best practices? How much are you paying attention to that?
It's funny that you ask because people have been asking me about this lately. And I haven't been paying too much attention to it, but it's because I just don't really see it having as big of an impact as people think, because sure, it's putting out this content for people, but it is, it's AI, so it doesn't have that human touch that you get with someone who's actually putting together a post. And I think a lot of brands already see that and don't want any content that's written from AI. So I don't really see that as an issue. Who knows what it'll look like, 10 years from now. But at the moment, I'm not too worried about that.
Okay, I think this is our last question of today, but of course, Amy has opened it up for you to contact her. You can see all of her social media handles here, as well as email address. So please, feel free to continue the conversation after this workshop. We have a question around languages. So let's say you have a website in English. Would you translate the entire website, all the posts, all the pages, in order to rank in other languages like French, Spanish, Chinese, for example, or what would you say in that case if you wanted to really attract more of an international audience and be more accessible?
That is a good question. I don't know if I have the answer for that one because I haven't worked with anything to do with translating text, honestly. I just have all of my posts in English. So I can look into that, but at the moment, I don't have the answer. I have no idea how the translation would really affect things.
Cool. No problem. Okay, I'm going to sneak one more in for Bree because I saw 2 questions from her around the same end. It sounds like she feels like she may have been shadow banned, perhaps on Instagram, and it's been really challenging for her. Is there an SEO way to solve for this, to get unshadow banned on these platforms?
Yeah, I deal with that sometimes as well, where I feel like my posts aren't showing up and it can be so frustrating. So you're definitely not alone. Especially I've seen that happen a lot on TikTok recently to me. But I think it's something that you just have to be patient with and make sure you're putting out content, once again, that has the keywords in the caption. Also, I would try putting it in the text. If you're going to reuse content and reshare it from TikTok to Instagram or vice versa, try to add the text individually on each one, because that will just help you show up if people are searching. And that would just be my biggest tip, to do that. Make sure you're using keywords and the hashtags as well, but don't overdo the hashtags. Just use a few. And if you keep putting good quality information on your channel and it's helping people and you have people asking questions, then it will eventually resolve itself, I think.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much, Amy. We are going to end things there, but we really appreciate your time and everybody for being so engaged and asking great questions. I know that I learned a lot, so thank you so much.
No problem. I hope you guys learned something. If you have questions, reach out to me on Instagram or send me an email.
Bye, everybody.